I'm Shadé. I'm an Army veteran, originally from Houston, Texas, and I'm living here in the upstate. And my passion, my sole purpose is to help veterans through social work and counseling. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. I grew up a little less traditional. I lived with my grandmother and my dad. I have a sister and two brothers. And let's see, at the age of 8, I had a tragedy. My oldest brother, he got killed, he was murdered. Seeing how that affected not just myself, but my family as I grew and as I got older, it caused me to really want to be able to help people. I knew that I needed an education. I knew that if I wanted to do something good with my life, I needed to go to college in order to get the skills that I needed. So I kept thinking, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So I'm sitting at home one day watching television, and then I see this commercial for the Army, right? And so I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I could use the discipline because I see them in their formation and they're running, and I'm like, okay. And then at the end, it said that they pay for tuition. And I was like, that's it. Let me get on it. So I immediately got on the internet, and I filled out the information, and a recruiter contacted me. She came and she picked me up, and then we went back to the recruiting station, and she talked to me about all the different options, because I was thinking just maybe reserves or National Guard. And she was asking me, well, do you have kids, or what's, and I was like, no, I'm a single female, no children, not married, And she was like, well, what do you think about active duty? And I was like, well, what is active duty? And so she ran it down to me and told me what it was. And I was like, really not doing too much, why not travel, culture myself a little bit. So joined the military, active duty. My time in the military, my very first duty station was Fort Campbell. Go 101st. I was a 92 Yankee supply clerk, and I stayed there for 6 years. During that time there, I deployed to Iraq once, and then I deployed to Afghanistan once. In Iraq, we were at Spiker. I was a supply person in my company as well, and it was pretty laid back for the most part compared to everything everybody else had going on. Now, it was stressful, but I got acclimated to supply life really good in Iraq. That was 15 months. When I got back to Campbell, boots on ground, then back to training, back to getting ready to leave again, and left and went to Afghanistan. And as weird as it is, I kind of enjoyed my Afghanistan tour more than I did my Iraq tour. In Afghanistan, we were in Jalalabad at Fob Fenty, and oh God, it was hot because it had a bowl effect. The fog was right in the middle of surrounded mountains, so it was just like a simmering pot. It was really, really hot, and it was really, really humid, and so it was pretty stressful. At that time, I was married, and my husband was in the company as well, and he was a truck driver. And so we had Route Stetson that we had to take, it was where Bostic was at. And that was one of the more dangerous fobs to be at. It was really, really, it was stressful. It was, but the team that we had, it really soothed a lot of my stresses. It was a really good team. I got medically retired from the military in 2014. In 2014, when I got medically retired, my now ex-husband, who was still my husband at the time, he was already out, and he was in South Carolina. Well, he was in North Carolina at first, and then he went to South Carolina to start working at BMW. And so naturally, I followed him, and we moved here and got to the upstate. And for maybe about a month or so, I just really took time to just breathe and do the mom thing and the wife thing. And then I started getting a little antsy because, I need to get into the VA. I need to start getting my ducks in a row and figuring out what's next. So before I got out, the VA rep who was at Bragg gave me contacts. And so I had to go up to the VA outpatient clinic, and I just went inside and I asked one of the people at the desk, I'm new here, I'm a veteran, I just got out of the military. Where do I need to go and who do I need to talk to? And so they asked me, are you a OEF veteran? And I said yes. And he was like, okay, we got somebody for you. We're gonna call you, just have a seat out down there towards the end. He pointed towards the mental area. And so I waited. Stacey Reeves was who he was getting me to see. And so she came out, she set up an appointment with me, and I came back, and I was a little nervous. I didn't know what I wanted to do as far as school. I always knew I wanted to help, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And so when I got ready to come, I said, well, my kids, I have them, it's 3 of them. They're not in school, like I don't have anyone to watch them. And she was like, just bring them on in, the whole family, y'all just come in, and we'll get you guys squared away. So I went in and I seen her, and at the time, of course, I was struggling because I wasn't getting paid anymore, so I went in there and I just kind of laid myself down on her, and she didn't flinch. She didn't waver. She was like, okay. And she would talk to me. She would turn and look at me, and she would ask me questions and look at me eye to eye, which was hard for me. I couldn't even keep eye contact with her at the time. And so after I got done talking to her, she would flip around to her computer and she would get, to type in and all the rest of it. And she got me squared away. And I remember thinking, she's a social worker. And okay. So I started asking her questions about what she done. And that led me to wanting to pursue social work for sure. And then she was helping veterans, which I'm a veteran myself, and I know just how much help veterans need, especially in the transitioning process. I am a fellow at Upstate Warrior Solution in the Spartanburg office, and I'm learning case management at this current time. I'm also learning how to deal with disgruntled vets, which is a major thing that it's taking some adjusting, but I'm navigating it pretty well, I think. So being at Upstate Warrior Solution, I done an internship prior to becoming a fellow, and the internship was with Operation Deep Dive, which is a study that they're conducting in order to try to not so much as figure out, but they just want to see what transpires when veterans die by suicide. Like, what was that veteran's thought process? What were their actions? What happened that possibly caused them to make such a traumatic decision? And so I worked with Allie and Alice, and it was really eye-opening. It was something that I don't think I could have prepared myself for, but I'm glad that I was able to get that insight, because learning, like at the funeral homes, one of the main things that we done was we tried to connect to the funeral homes in the major upstate counties and put them in the position to understand what we were trying to do as an organization for Operation Deep Dive. Listening to some of the funeral directors, and the things that they go through, they're pretty much counselors themselves, and how seeing people like that, it affected them as well. It was something that I needed in order for me to gain more insight as being a social worker and a bereavement counselor. Like, it was something that I needed to see. And also, just being able to connect to those people and network, and being able to say, hey, we have this going on. If you have a family that comes in and they have a veteran who died by suicide, ask them if they're willing to participate in this, so that way we can help other veterans, and we can kind of see if we can narrow the numbers and find out what's going on with veterans when they die by suicide. I am getting the legwork for being a social worker down pat, because that's pretty much what we're doing in the Spartanburg office. We have veterans who call and they need places to stay, they need food, they need jobs, they need all of these different things. And so we have to go in, get information from them, build a case for them, make sure that we follow up with them, make sure that we do what we need to on our end. If we need to call and see if this person has appliances to put in this veteran's home because they need it, or see if these individuals can get a room at this place. Like it's casework, and it's something that I need definitely as a social worker. I need that.